You want to really know how to ruin a party? Just tell everyone you're gonna die tomorrow.
I'm dying.
Jane, we heard you.
I'm dying.
I heard you.
She Dies Tomorrow is the latest in a long string of digital horror releases coming out due to COVID-19, and I guess it's kind of fitting because the film asks the question, what if death were contagious? I mean, it's right here in the tagline. In this video, we'll be taking a look at all the hidden details as well as explaining its cryptic ending, but before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe cause, you know, I might die tomorrow. The film begins on an extreme close-up of a character named Amy. I'm hesitant to call her the main character because the film really doesn't have a main character. Instead, we follow the infected, people infected by an idea that they're going to die tomorrow. So in a way, I guess you could say the main character is death.
Damn right!
We are constantly following it as it moves from one character to the next, and what we're seeing here in this first shot is a scene that doesn't happen until near the end of the movie. Amy and her partner Craig go on a bit of a romantic getaway, ordering some pizza only for the pizza delivery guy to pass on the infection to Craig. And how is this passed on? Well, if you hear someone say they think they're gonna die tomorrow, boom, you think you're gonna die tomorrow. In the next shot, we see how the infection takes over Craig as he throws shit around the room saying things like, it's over, there's no tomorrow, and that he's not crazy. But we wake up the next day following Amy with Craig nowhere to be found. We know it's the next day because of the same pizza box laying on the floor next to her, but what we don't know is that Craig is dead. Remember that opening eye shot? Well, that's taken from this scene later on in the film where Amy says the same exact lines she does at the beginning of the film. Now, it's never explained in the film whether he killed himself or if she killed him, but my guess is that he shot himself with his gun here and she passed out on the couch, herself now infected. This is where the story really begins. Amy ventures back to her home and calls her friend Jane, who knows all about her past as a recovering addict. She may even be like an AA support friend. It's here Amy does some really weird shit, like rub herself on the walls, the floorboards, a piece of wood, and ventures into the forest to touch the fallen leaves. And what do all these things have in common? They're all dead. Hell, when Jane comes up to check on her, she's drinking wine and blowing dead leaves with a leaf blower. She even turns on the bug zapper to watch the bugs die. Amy also has an obsession of playing Mozart's Lacrimosa over and over again, a piece of music which was meant as a requiem to commemorate the death of a renowned Austrian count's wife. Coincidentally, Mozart died while composing this piece, and Mozart's widow claimed Mozart went a little crazy and believed he was writing the requiem for his own funeral. So this is definitely a fitting piece for this movie. Amy then does some rather odd internet searches, including cremation urns and leather jackets. That's because she believes she's going to die tomorrow and she wants to be turned into a leather jacket.
I was thinking I could be made into a leather jacket.
This is followed by a flashback with her and Craig where he asks her if she has any regrets, and we learn that Amy had an abortion when she was 22. This explains the baby wailing noises Amy hears the night before she's to die. Amy is haunted by the decision to terminate her child. Throughout the film, we also see the characters experience flashes of blue, red, purple, and green. They kind of resemble Christmas lights, and there's even a shot near the end where Amy walks past an ornamented Christmas tree in a leatherworking shop, which I don't think is just a coincidence. Christmas is an event that signifies birth, so to have it juxtaposed here in the film, a film all about death, is rather interesting. We also get a quick shot of her seemingly having an orgasm while wearing this party dress. My interpretation is that she is reliving the night she got pregnant. There are even these super quick shots which I had to freeze frame of what appears to be a beating heart, something that would have stopped when she terminated the baby. The next part of the film focuses on Jane, who now too is infected. She puts on the same Mozart song that Amy was listening to as she conducts research with a microscope. Now, we never really know what she's looking into. Is it blood or some other substance? But according to a woman named Susan, who we'll meet in a bit, Jane looks into her microscope to, quote, discover the universe. Now, Jane can't shake the feeling that she's going to die, so she interrupts her sister-in-law's birthday party in her pajamas to let them know it's going to happen. There are some cool Easter eggs here, like framed paintings of of Jane's microscopic findings and a yield sign that says, "You are alive." It's also ironic that a woman who thinks she's going to die tells people so at a birthday party, and what follows is just truly morbid. All of the guests are now infected and believe they are also going to die. So this guy named Brian goes with his girlfriend Tilly and takes his dad, who suffered a stroke, off of life support. Then over his dead father's body, Tilly tells Brian she wanted to break up with him for the past 6 months. They don't care anymore. Everyone is brutally honest. They're gonna die tomorrow, so why not be? Susan and Jane's brother Jason go into their daughter's room and tell her that they're going to die. You know, just a fun little thing to tell your child. Now, it's heavily implied that Jason and Susan killed their kid. We see Susan kiss her daughter in the morning, unsure if she's sleeping or dead, and Jason later asks Susan if she feels bad about what they did, implying the murder of their child. And the infection continues to spread. Jane visits a doctor and infects him. Amy goes dune buggying, something she wanted to do before she died, and infects the owner. Fun fact, the dune buggy owner is played by Adam Wingard, who directed horror films like You're Next and The New Blair Witch. Jane arrives back home and goes back to her research, talking to her samples, saying she missed them. It's really weird, but maybe not as weird as Jane waking up the next morning and entering a random house bleeding from a huge cut. And the other two women there don't see anything unusual about it. They also proclaim that they are dying too. So Jane goes into the pool and, oh god, that's gonna need to be cleaned. Of particular note here is one of the characters using ash to create a painting. As symbol of death, ash used to create art. Yet another example of this balance of life and death this film portrays. And this scene seems to indicate that this infection has spread like crazy. One of the girls remarks, "How on earth could someone be mowing their lawn right now?" Obviously not something someone would do if this was their last day on Earth. So it begs the question, how far has this thing spread? And there's also this really interesting shot where you can make out a lens flare that kind of looks like one of Jane's samples under the microscope. We, like Jane, are observing these characters through the lens of film, just like Jane observed her examples through the lens of a microscope. Amy appears to get her wish of becoming a leather jacket. Yes, I know, just saying that sounds really weird, when she asks a leather worker about what she would need to do to bring in her own mammal to be skinned, aka herself.
You have to bring in the skin as soon as possible.
And the final shot of the movie finds Amy all alone in the middle of a deserted wasteland, going back and forth saying lines, "I'm okay" and "I'm not ready." These are the same lines Craig said shortly before he died. She also starts to hum, just like the doctor asked Jane to do when she visited him. But that line, "I'm not okay," also makes an appearance earlier in the film when Jane confronts Amy about her relapse.
It's okay. No, you are not. I mean, it's not okay. It just is.
And perhaps that's what the film is saying about death. It's inevitable. It just is a way of life. Some are okay with it and some aren't, but the constant remains that it will happen. This last shot of Amy leaves us wondering what will happen to her, but does it really matter? Whether it's today or tomorrow, she will die. And if what happened to the other characters are any indication, she'll likely be on the way out, whether she's ready or not. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and leave me a comment on what you thought of She Dies Tomorrow. You can also follow me on Twitter @ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.